Mr. Teru, and this is my 2016 Mazda Miata. Now, obviously, I'm known for my math videos. Occasionally, I've done some random videos like building couches out of pallets and replacing the front wheel bearings of my old G35 coupe. And I don't really feel the need of doing car reviews when I see awesome videos out there, such as those on Savage Geese's channel. Actually, his review of the Mazda Miata is one of the reasons why I chose to buy this car. Now, when I started shopping for cars, I thought, oh, I'm going to go get a used Mustang or Camaro or used Corvette, or maybe even go crazy and get a used Porsche Cayman, you know, get that V6 or that V8 growl, go for the high horsepower numbers that you just get enthralled with reading all your magazines and seeing your internet reviews. But it was actually not only the looks of this car, but a review that I saw from Dave Coleman talking about the engineering that went in the car, and a review that Savage Geese did. So I went out and test drove one, and that was it. The next couple of months was trying to find one of these cars new that I could get a good deal on. And at the time, a couple years ago, that was extremely hard to do. It gets, you know, 0 to 60 in about 6 seconds, which is the same amount of time my 2004 G35 could manage. Of course, that held 4 people and an actual amount of luggage. But for 155 horsepower, it has plenty of get up and go, even though every other review you see online, you know, talks about, you know, Miatas being slow. But I have an absolute blast in it. It is so much fun to drive. My wife even likes it. It handles fantastic. And, you know, it's not very sporting to talk about, but the awesome gas mileage is a bonus as well. In my mind, there's only 2 major flaws in this car, one of which I just took care of. You can see I've got a Blackbird Fabworks roll bar, which I wanted to do an install review, but I didn't want to, you know, at my novice skills, try and instruct someone how to install a roll bar, which may possibly save their life. So, plus I wanted to respect the wishes of the designer and producer of this roll bar and keep the complete design, you know, confidential, since there's a lot of man hours and time spent in the design of this roll bar. But I would highly recommend anyone getting or owning a Miata to buy one of their roll bars. Extremely well engineered and fit perfectly. It took a former student and now friend of mine who has some mechanical skills as well as I do as well, but he has much more than I do. 13 hours to put this roll bar in. The amount of cutting it took to get the plastics to fit around it compared to the piece that was in here just took a tremendous amount of work. You know, and I wish that it was a little bit taller or wider, but it is as large as he could manufacture and have it fit the roof and be able to keep the maintain that factory roof. Just to compare what you can see here, this is full roll bar tubing, is triangulated inside all the body work. Lifting up the roof a little bit, not sure if you're gonna be able to see this, but it comes down and not only mounts at the body at its factory mounting points and another second place farther down with some plates, but you saw those bars going down into and bolt into the floor and the wheel well, the rear wheel wells, giving the car much more structural strength in the rear end. Here is the structure that came out of the car to install the roll bar. You can see that the actual hoops underneath the plastic hoops that you see from the exterior of the car are just thin aluminum tubing. Now that's, in my mind, the first flaw fixed with the car. The second? Now, the second major flaw of this car, this sports car, yeah, it sounds like a 4-cylinder Civic, Camry, Ford Focus, you know, whatever. Not the fancy ST or RS models, but just a 4-cylinder sound. When you're driving along the road, you really can't tell when you need to shift. Flipping the throttle to downshift, heel toe, nothing exciting. It just sounds like a 4-cylinder. So today we're going to take out the factory muffler and install this. This is Goodwin Racing Roadster Super Sport Super Street exhaust single tip, and that is my version of an unboxing video. So this job, from what I've read, should not take any more than 15 to 30 minutes from what I've read online and of other people's reviews. It just depends on how tight those bolts are and how long it takes you to wiggle the old muffler out of the factory hangers. Okay, so this is what we're going to have to disconnect. There's our rubber hangers, 2 on each side. There is our flange coming from the factory muffler. Just those 2 bolts behind those springs back there. I've also, from Goodwin Racing, bought a new donut seal that goes between the factory mid pipe and the muffler, just to make sure that I don't do this install and have an exhaust leak and then have to order a part and wait for that to come in. So here's update number 1, literally just about 1 minute since the last clip. I'm going to spend more time making this video than replacing this exhaust. On one part, on one bolt, the entire trying to take the nut off, the entire bolt and spring assembly came off with it, and you can see it just is going to thread into your new muffler. The other bolt actually, or the other nut, excuse me, I keep calling it a bolt, actually came off of that stud, so we're going to have to work that stud out of the factory muffler when I'm finished uninstalling it. But that literally took almost no time at all. Now I just have to wiggle that factory muffler around and work in the soapy water to loosen or create some lubrication here on these hangers, and I'll get that old factory muffler out of there. Okay, if you need to, and I'm sure some mechanic is going to tell me there's an easier way to do this, but getting this nut off of that stud is not easy, but a very tight set of vice grips, a lot of pushing, leverage on a 14mm socket, got it loose. Okay, I'm going to be honest, getting the stud out, putting these nuts on back to back, thinking I was going to tighten these together and using the bottom one to loosen it, did not work. Eventually got this big old channel lock, put it down here on the bottom, squeezed as hard as I could, and marred it up just a tiny bit, but I did get it to come loose. So now we are ready to get this new muffler on. I honestly thought getting these hangers to loosen up would be the toughest part of this job, but really it was getting these studs and nuts out was definitely the hardest part. A little spray on a rubber hanger, twist and pull, and those come right off. So we're just coming in here with some dish soap and water, spray on our studs or the hangers of our new muffler, and we'll just wiggle that on and push. They go on pretty easy, but I can't do it one-handed and hold the camera at the same time. Okay, so I've used my channel locks and got these studs in as tight as I can, and you can see I've mucked this up a little bit. These are almost look like they should be able to be turned with a regular wrench. Surprisingly, a 1/2-inch wrench was the tightest fit, but it just slid around. I tried channel locks and pipe wrench, and you can see I mucked that up pretty good, but it shouldn't be a problem as I reinstall this, since of course this nut, this flange nut, is actually just what compresses the springs onto the mid pipe here. Oh, and I could be wrong, but I thought I remember the original Roadster Sport mufflers having a flat flange here, but this appears to be now one that'll fit the donut sort of washer, if you will, seal that's already installed in the car. So I might have bought that seal for no reason. I'm just going to leave it, the original one, in place and see what it sounds like when we're done. Here's the new muffler next to the old. I believe the new muffler, I had this to memory at one point, but I believe that is about 7 pounds lighter than the original stock muffler. And it really just has pretty much a straight through design, so it has been tested independently to add about 7 or 8 horsepower to the top end of the car. Of course, I don't drive my car near red line all the time, so probably just enjoy the sound more than the extra horsepower. Okay, so if it wasn't for getting the stud out of the old muffler, and I was really just trying to get the nut off of the stud that did come loose, because I thought I was going to use it to get the other stud out of the original muffler, this would have actually been literally maybe a 10-minute job, but as it was, Probably spent more like 45 minutes because I'm not an actual pro mechanic. But at any rate, so I'm gonna see if that this thing sounds like. Hopefully there's no exhaust leaks, and you know, they never sound the same as they do on video, so this is my first time hearing this muffler. Uh-huh, yeah. That is what this car should sound like. I'm excited. Well, this is Goodwin Racing Roadster Sport Super Sport single tip is their sort of second most aggressive exhaust. Their most aggressive exhaust is their Roadster Sport Race, which clearly is not what I did get, but I am extremely happy with the low bass tones and the treble that you get as you rev up the motor. And I also like the very clean single tip look of the exhaust. So I really absolutely could not be happier. Thank you, Goodwin Racing. Not that this is like a promotional video or paid promotional video. It is, I bought the product and reviewing this for free, but your workmanship is very much appreciated, as well as thank you, Blackbird Fabworks, for my manufacturing of my awesome roll bar. Mr. True, bam! Go have some fun.